In a fiery exchange that left many stunned, Julius Malema found himself on the receiving end of a sharp and unexpected lecture from a white Afrikaner who firmly rejected the idea that he owed anything to anyone. As Malema pushed his usual narrative of historical injustice and economic redress, the Afrikaner calmly but forcefully countered, saying he had worked hard for everything he owns and never benefited from any so-called privilege. The confrontation exposed what some are calling a glaring blind spot in Malema's rhetoric, igniting a deeper debate about personal responsibility, history, and the complexities of modern South Africa. Take a listen.
I'm very interested when you talk about we and they. We're roughly the same age. I was 12 when Madiba was released from prison, and I was 14 when the election happened. I'm a medical doctor. I work sometimes 160-hour weeks. I work sometimes 18 hours a day, and I own property because of that reason. And it sounds to me that you're suggesting that I should do all that work and come to this point in my life and now just hand away my property. And that concerns me.
You know, you are an exceptional case. If you were to stand up and say, I went to school and I'm a medical doctor and the property I have is because I went to school and I bought it. But most of your people didn't buy any property, they inherited it. So it's an exceptional case. No, you can disagree. The reality is that you are in possession of a land that was stolen from us. And we want it back without any apology. We want that land back, and we are going to work together. I can tell you now, whether you are in denial or not, the demand for the land is growing and people are becoming impatient. And we don't want Zimbabwe here. We don't want Zimbabwe in this. It has to be done legally, procedurally, in a manner that is not going to put the country and the economy in a disaster. We have to talk about it. We have to say, how do we, in a proper manner, make sure that everyone benefit from this land? So, you know, Mr. Santa will know, and those involved in the negotiations and pre-negotiations, that when it was inevitable for democracy to be ushered in, most of the corrupt state officials began to transfer land into the names of individuals. When we're building a road in Northwest, expanding a road in Northwest from Rustenburg to Mafikeng, the state had to now get some farms so that, because they didn't have land reserves, so they had to go and take some portions of land as they go along. And then made a call. All those who were affected by our expropriation of land, please come forward so that we can compensate you. Very few people turned up. And the suspicion is that they do not have title deeds. People just declared, this is my land, just before 1994. So don't individualize a big problem. It's like when I say there is racism in this country and you come to me, but I'm not a racist. I'm not talking about you. If you're not racist, why are you worried? But generally there is a problem of racism. It's not about an individual. It's a group problem. It is an institutionalized problem. We have to deal with it. And if we don't talk about it, we will not recognize it as a problem. And because we have not recognized it as a problem, now we will not be in a position to solve that problem. You can't solve the problems which you have not identified. So let us not be sensitive. I mean, you are a graduate, you are a doctor, you own a piece of property. I've got a black doctor here with me, very young also, a graduate, and he owns property. We're not taking your property only. We're talking also his property, the flat he owns, a flat size. His flat is almost the size of your bathroom for sure. But even that, we're taking from him. So it's not about a black or white. All of us, we need to surrender our land to the state and give that state an opportunity to allocate it for proper use. You can shake your hand, I'm proposing a peaceful solution. You're refusing it, surrender it to the revolution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malema. Mr. Malema has had his 5 minutes. Mr. Santa, would you counter that, please?
Okay, I just want to say, okay, I just want to say that in the end, as Mr. Malema has said, there is a balance between the private and the public sectors, and I totally understand the emotion about the land, and I do think it's got to be negotiated because it's not a simple issue. It's because it is a highly emotional issue, but we can differ on that one. What I want to say is this, is that in terms of communist and mixed economy, I can say that I think the biggest economic success of modern ages has been China. And yes, it's been run by the Chinese Communist Party. I actually was asked by that party to go to the Central Party School. That's the inner sanctum of the party. It's their leadership academy outside Beijing in April 2006 to have a discussion with them about how to look at the future. And what really came across to me at this school was the fact that Mao Zedong was really no longer of the party. It was Deng Xiaoping. And the reason that it was Deng Xiaoping is because he said, I don't care if a cat is black or white as long as it catches mice. and that is the point. In the end, we've got to come to a practical solution because you need that entrepreneurial drive because much of the success of the Chinese economy has been around small private entrepreneurs as much as it has been around a well-run state. Russia, unfortunately, is the exact opposite. It has never really grown that private sector side, and so the Russian economy, yes, it has American and European sanctions because of the annexation of Crimea, but there is no way that Russia has been as successful as China. The other one, which Mr. Malema quoted in his speech at the Oxford Union, was around Cuba. And the fact is that Cuba, now that sanctions have been lifted with America, is beginning to really motor. And again, it's a combination of the state, but it's all those smart Cuban entrepreneurs who are beginning to do their own thing and start businesses and trade with America and get American tourists into Cuba. I'm afraid to say Venezuela is like Russia. It just simply hasn't nurtured that entrepreneurial spirit. So my plea to the economic freedom fighters is that you balance those two kinds of economic freedom. The one, which is around ownership and state intervention to ensure fair ownership in this country, but the other side is really taking the incredible talent we have here in South Africa and saying, how can we create that next generation of entrepreneurs? Because in the end, probably the person in the world that has most influenced all of us is Steve Jobs. He wasn't a politician. He was an entrepreneur. Thank you.
Well, the Cubans achieved what they have achieved without American intervention. The levels of literacy in Cuba happened under the American economic embargo and under the communist-led country. Cuba is highly educated. Actually, it is even producing doctors for capitalist countries like yourselves. You can't produce for doctors for yourselves. The Cubans are helping you. The levels of actually the life expectancy is longer than ours. The Cubans' health system is the best. Their education system is the best. So Cuba is one of the countries that did well under Fidel, because those are the indicators you use to judge success. Not this thing we have here in South Africa, that success means very few families must be rich. The Oppenheimers, the Ruperts, and them. And then as long as we have such families rich and the rest of the country is swimming in a pool of poverty, and then you call that success, it can't be success. Success means the general population must be doing well in terms of quality of education, the quality of health, life expectancy. Here in South Africa, people die at an early age, especially black people, from diseases that we can cure. But because the health system is dysfunctional and medicine is expensive, we don't live for far too long. So it's extremely unacceptable that we have a situation we have. So I don't know. I think under this development between the Cubans and the Americans, Cuba will even perform much, much more better. The Chinese you are talking about, no, because they were under sanctions. Now, if they leave, and other people are free to do business with them without being intimidated by America, then we are guaranteed that people who have done well under difficult conditions, they will do well when conditions are better. You were trading with China, the whole world, they were trading with China even when China was under the communist leadership. China is experiencing problems now, but I'm happy that Mr. Santa points to China as one of the countries which were successful under a communist leadership. So we know all those shortcomings and criticism of Mao Zedong, but those are personality cult types of politics. What is principle for me is that the Communist Party of China made China to be what it is today. And you cannot ignore China in the global economy. So I'm saying here at home, we're not proposing that there must be a complete shutdown of private capital. We want that mixed economy with the state being a leader in the economy. In Botswana here, DBS, Mr. Santa will know better than me, gave the government of Botswana 51% in the diamond mines. 51%. When they come into South Africa, next door, they are refusing. We don't just want 51%, we want ownership and control, because we can't trust capital. They will say they produce so many diamonds only to find that they're misleading us. They've produced more. So they are happy with Botswana because Botswana is just happy with ownership and not control. We cannot be happy just with ownership. We want control. My sister is speaking about black people who are involved in some of these companies. I always see black people who call themselves executives, who calls themselves owners of this and that, and in reality it's not true. I don't know of a single person, a single black person who owns anything with control and influence, not even Patrice. Patrice will never help you with anything. He's so hopeless. He can't help you because he's not in control. They claim to be in control. They are not in control. They've surrendered their blackness and they are being remote controlled by white monopoly capital. So we want a genuine black ownership, and you must be in control. That's what we are fighting for. We must not be shown some cosmetic black success. People who have agreed to be curtains. I don't know of a single, maybe I'm still to see that person. When we do the site visits, they bring black sisters and brothers to come and make presentations before parliament committees. And because this parliament now is different, it has got some questioning people. After presentation, we go in and we ask very difficult questions. Black managers and leaders can't answer because they are not in charge. But because they said parliament is coming today, it will be you who present this. And then they say, this is the most senior person in this company. Okay, a simple question. What is the turnover of this company? You see, that one I will give to my colleague. And then I must celebrate that. I'm not going to celebrate that. I want, not even Cyril Ramaphosa is a genuine black success. Cyril Ramaphosa is a puppet of the Oppenheimers. They made him form the NUM after the commissioner said black unions be allowed and they must have the power to negotiate with the employer. The NUM was sponsored by the Oppenheimers, and Cyril was given that task to go and form it. Cyril was working in the legal office, or some offices not even underground, from the University of the North. Then from there he was given the power to form NUM. From there he was fronted everywhere. They wanted to impose him on Mandela as the deputy president of South Africa, and the ANC refused. That's how Thabo Mbeki became the deputy president, and Cyril Ramaphosa got demoralized and left the ANC. Cyril Ramaphosa, because of that anger, did not even attend Mandela's inauguration because the agenda he was representing got defeated. I want genuine black, and black is not implementation. It's about your thinking and your commitment to liberate the black nation.
Sir, we've got...
Julius Malema's arrogance isn't just a personal trait, it's a growing threat to South Africa's progress and stability. His refusal to engage with opposing views, his constant race-baiting, and his divisive rhetoric are tearing at the fabric of a nation still healing from its past. When leaders like Malema speak with unchecked pride and contempt for accountability, it sets a dangerous tone, one that undermines unity, fuels resentment, and distracts from real solutions. South Africans must stand up and demand leadership that listens, unites, and builds, not one that blames, divides, and destroys. The future of our democracy depends on it.